Lamin.
Na.
Lamin te jibe norin te nyame Lamin.
Kabana wulo kono.
Wulo kono nyita mo Lamin.
Pa bilenki.
Muna ngata. Ngoto le. Fabrama.
Mingi. Baba nyola.
Ngoto le fa.
Tumara kan kuma diten.
Fabrama.
Tumara mu.
Ndele bare muso.
Nunda mana.
Famo kata.
Jamani bere.
Alendo ko. Bari ngoto.
Bari jamani bana na mudu wa kontan.
Ngoto nje fon fili tala Lamin jibe nori nyaala
Lamin ila siran sama ne benki yala so tol sayni no bo mo lakko momo
ngoto
nam
itedinte yalo ne Lamin hakkilo diata bake karambu ngoto anu santen ministry ko di ngole si suwo ko amake ko do holi de
si biton
bagona de
ala ni ko kede namo balo
ala ne na ko na karta bulo be dam ala ni je
ngoto
nam
ngoto mon kontan fere
jamani mu ne keda
ifika Lamin ki wulo ko no nyinta mon ko do fete malo Lamin nyande sila la be la moy kala karambu
jamani karambu be soron ne ko fasi ta wulo ko ko
karambu wol ma ni ko karambu wol soron da amake ko holi de lem ngoto dindi wonyanta sila la ala karangola mo yamen kaben fue man kontan anda mande
alla min kombo courant adanda la kombo le soron da doro kaben courant ma rado la kombo e don dol fanena karamol soron je karamol soron Lamin ada lo ni no la man tara fena sokon ala mu nekela
am Lamin ite fede malon ko lesino de ke kar radio to
nga fine
e ko nyari mo Lamin
nga fine
ya mo na fonye
kabin mina kan tambita nteri maning Fatu tambide la sukala ala dinol bebe siri be la moyka
faru dan so am fanan tambida jele ni subala ngaje dinol be jet talanta nen kili waro e be seri jele
sa Lamin fanante ku kili wo ke do la ba Lamin bi ka wulo ko no nyinta
man dara fenela
ite dide ko ni man si yakari lesino la moy radio to e balon na
mo ne ka ke afenye
tel jikot
afenye mo ne be ke
ite balon tel be jikiri tel ni man kara yaje nata kara namba samala ya e tarije
par ñarande kombo courant ho findira kombo ide na raje ni sonka bay ko Lamin manya tala wulo ko kara mo be so afenye membe
ko to wole nati bawo ngalle ni Lamin kuntal me kombo courant asototal wala kinay ko e si suwo kono bari ni ko e si suwo kono be karangol di ke la radio lin telel to hani tele masoto to nyaar man tele soto da bongo bar radio be bulen koto batiri sanga ay si ay alamo
sa do kala nyaadi
kamun ke nyaadi
radio abe wala mo la be mona falaje
ibe la karandirol kala jele
titalle be radio ko men ka karandirol
ile subject ro baby jele baby jele
wala nanga coco moy fa tambi kana ngadi ngol jebe ikadum bungo be kala
ma asototal de
Lamin mala be kara wala de
ideal on go in the every year
lesine ba ndele sino na ba
mbasa mba foke en koto wole fango yen wulindi yalo famo keta bat yin fana bulata ko ko me yen nati jambi Lamin nyanta karana ndel beji ko be nyineka ya bulay kara wulo kana ta kilar ya bambalo yo be dindi ngoy si ayala lesino la moy radio
wala ka munda kara mo man soro Lamin nyanta kara si so na regular
silale ayala lesino
dal ko korno ko small ay bin ko mo sa mi do ni ko kara
nengi bruzo
am na ko la da ba rosa no radio ba no woro radio ni abe jele ba ngam ko man dem gol jan ala ñara wo ram ko fendi mo la Lamin tayra ba rosa
bara te ku folo ajibe nori na Lamin tamete ku
mingi mun na de
teku
bari ko do famo ke
e ma de nañu ñambol si zol le ke je kisi man si zol no le kabun ka ñowa bari ñambu kino ni ma ñana ka fendi ni nambe ko do la ga
ngalle limbeta de be ñambo do dilanna
ñara ni ko rin fennat
bari famo ke da
na tambi bungono ñara ngando go fele lo la ndija
iyo a
di sudiara
pendulala yefungo tanka sina dulu tanka koro ta koro ta.
Viewers and wonderful listeners out there, welcome to another lesson on the school category. Remember, we are still on bearing and reason why, giving you a lot of
bearing is because most of you have the problem of handling questions when it comes to bearing. So this is why we demonstrate you a series of examples. Now today we are going to look at a question, and the question is y is 60 kilometers x of 135. Z is 80 kilometers away from x on a bearing of 205 degrees. Find the Roman 1 the distance of z from y, and Roman 2 the bearing of z from y. So these are the two things that we need to solve from this question. And now to solve this, remember, always try by all means a correct diagram. Once you do that, the rest is always easy for you. Can we do this sketch on the board? As we do the sketching, y is 60 kilometers away from x on a bearing of 135 degrees. So here they are telling us that take x to locate y on a bearing of 135 degrees. Let me locate x at some point here. On a 100 degrees. 135 is in the second quadrant, and the distance 60 kilometers. So the bearing is 135 degrees. So that's going to be here. So if you subtract 180 minus 135 to know the angle here, you will have 45 degrees. And we are told that z is 80 kilometers away from x on a bearing of 225 degrees. So 225 is going to be from the same point, but we have 225 in the third quadrant. If you check on that, that will give us a measurement of something like this. So that's where we have 225, and the distance apart is 80. It's a bit farther than 60, so we make the line a little bit longer. And something like this. So the measurement here is 220 degrees. Now, if 125 again minus 180 will give us another 45 degrees. So since we get our 3 points, we're going to connect to get our triangle. This is x from y, and this is z from x. So we are going to connect to get our triangle. So the distance between x and z remains kilometers. The distance between x and y was 60 kilometers, and the bearing we have already. If you add 45 plus 45, that will give us 90 degrees. So it means we have a right angle triangle again. And the first one is find the distance of z from y. So since the angle is a right angle, we are going to use the Pythagoras theorem. And to use the Pythagoras theorem, we say, I want to label this side as side x, this side will be y, and this side will be z. So we can say x square equals to y square plus z. X square equals to y square is 80. So we put 80 square plus z is 60. We put 60. X square equals to 80 squared is equals to 6,400. 60 squared is 3,600. If you add 6,400, 3,600, you will have x squared equals to 10,000. Now we want to know the value of x. We are going to take the square root. The square will cancel and the value of x will be equals to this 1,000 is 100 kilometers. So our x is kilometers. So this has answered question Roman 1. Question Roman 2 is find the bearing of z from y. So z from y means go to y and locate z. So it means we have to measure from this line here to know the reverse bearing. Looking at the line, for those viewing, you realize that this is the bearing that we are trying to find. So to find this bearing, we can easily tell. How can you do that? We are going to make so that we find this angle here, and this angle will be represented as theta. But also we know that if this angle is 45, this other angle here also must be 45, which is said to be alternate to this one here as 45 as well. Now why are we finding these angles? Our target is, at the end of the day, when you know the value of theta, you just subtract 45 from theta. That will help you to subtract to know the back bearing. So we are going to sketch the right angle triangle proper. This point is x, and that's where we have the right angle. We have z, and the measurement is 80 kilometers. We have line as 60 kilometers, and the angle we are calculating is at y. Angle is called theta. We also know that this side is 100 kilometers. So to calculate that angle theta, we are going to make so that we use the trig ratios. Now, since all the sides are known, any of the trig ratios can be used. I would like to use tan. Tan theta is equals to, the opposite is 80, all over the adjacent is 60. If you divide 80 by 60, or in a nutshell, you can reduce where 0 cancels 0. What is 8 divided by 6? Remember, I was able to take 80 as the opposite of the angle. Again, we take 60 as the adjacent of the right angle. 80 by 60. I said we first reduce the zeros and we are left with 8 over 3. 8 divided by will give us a recurring decimal, and tan theta now will be equals to 1.3333. 8 divided by 6 will give us a recurring decimal, and that will be 1.33. Now, to know the answer, finally, we are going to take theta equals tan inverse of 1.33. Tan inverse of 133. That will give us equals to 53.123. Ask to round up, or to give our answer correct to a particular significant number of significant figures? No. I will choose to write my answer to 1 decimal place, and theta will be equals to 53.1 degrees. So that is going to be our theta here. So the whole of this angle is equals to 53.1 degrees. But remember, our target is we want to know the bearing of Z from Y. That is this bearing here. Now, to know this small angle here, we can still do something. Part of the angle is known as 45, and the whole angle is known as 53.1. Can we subtract 53.1 minus 45? I think that will give us 8.1. So to find the bearing of Z from Y using the back bearing, we are going to subtract 270 minus 8.1. The remaining will give us the final result. So we can say therefore the bearing of Z from Y equals to 270 minus 8.1. What is that going to be? That will give us 261.9 degrees to 1 decimal place. If you want to give your answer correct to the nearest whole number, you will have 262 degrees. So you are this angle we did, and that angle was 53.1 degrees. Now the next thing, we were able to calculate the bearing of Z from Y, where we subtracted 53 minus 45 to give us this small angle here as 8.1. Now in our previous lessons, I told you that at 0, at the east is measured 90, at the south pole is measured 180, west is given 270. So if you subtract that 270 minus 8.1 will give you 261.9. To the nearest whole number will give us 262 degrees. This is going to be my last question with you, so we can look at it quickly. If time don't allow us, I will leave it with you as an assignment. Now we move to the next question. Like I said, it's going to be my last question for the session. X, Y, and Z are 3 points on a horizontal plane. The bearing of Y from X is 312 degrees, and that of Y from Z is 22 degrees. If line XY equals to 32 kilometers and line ZY equals to 50 kilometers, calculate correct to 1 decimal place line XZ, Roman 1, Roman 2, the bearing of Z from X. I repeat, X, Y, and Z are 3 points on a horizontal plane. The bearing of Y from X is 312 degrees, and that of Y from Z is 22 degrees. If line XY equals to 32 kilometers and line ZY equals to 50 kilometers, calculate correct to 1 decimal place Roman 1, line XZ, Roman 2, the bearing of Z from X. Can we sketch the diagram together? Now, we are given 2 angles, and that is 22 degrees and 312. 22 degrees is in the first quadrant. 312 is in the fourth quadrant. So, we're going to start with the 22. Let's start with the 22. And that is Y from Z is 22 degrees. That is, stand at Z and locate Y. This is where we have the first quadrant. So we can draw our line to any convenient distance, and that's going to be point Y. Remember, the bearing is 22 degrees. Now, they are already giving us the distance apart as line YZ or ZY equals to 50 kilometers. So this angle is said to be alternate to this one. So that's also 22 degrees. Again, we are told that the bearing of Y from X is 312. Y from X is 312. Now, where do we have 312? It's in the fourth quadrant. And that's the fourth quadrant here. So since it is in the fourth quadrant, we can locate X somewhere and it to the Y, and that will give us our 3 towns. Since it is and the distance apart is 32 kilometers, less than 50, so we don't need to make the line a little bit long. So we can estimate it somewhere around here. So this is where we have 312 in the fourth quadrant. And that is X. 312 is the bearing. So to get the triangle completed, just connect. So this is what you are going to have. If you subtract 300 minus 360, we will know this angle, and that will help us to know this other angle here because they are said to be alternate. So what is 360 minus 312? That's going to give us 48. So if you subtract this, you will have 48. So it means if this angle is 48, this other angle also must be 48. But remember, the distance between line XY or line X and Y is going to be 32 kilometers. Don't forget the dimension. So if you add these two, 22 plus 48 will give us 70 degrees. And the first question is calculate correct to 1 decimal place line XZ. That's the first question. And that is this side. I will label it as Y, kilometers. So using this rule, the cosine rule states that the unknown value Y squared, we take X squared as 50 square plus Z squared 32 times 50 times 32, then cos 70. So this is what you're going to have. Give us Y squared equals to 50, 2,500. 32 will give us 1,024. 2 times 50, that's 100. 100 times 32 will give you 3,200. Cos 70. Now that we have these values, next are we going to do? we are going to add here. Y squared equals to 2,500 plus 1,024. Can you add 2,500 plus 1,024? That will give us 3,524 minus, press the value of cos 7, the value of cos 7 0.3420. What you need to do is you need to be very careful when punching this information from your calculators. So we want to operate what is on the right hand side of the negative sign to help us get the final answer. So y squared equals to 524. Can we multiply 3,000 0.3420? That will give us minus 1094.4. So we are going to make these two, because when we subtract them, that will help us to get the right answer. So in doing so, we can write y squared equal, I want you to press 3,024 minus 1,094.4. That will give us 2,429.6 if we subtract it correctly. Finally, to get the answer, you take the square root of both sides, where the square will cancel the root. Now we are left with y equals, again, to punch the square root of 429.6 from your calculators. Can you square 2,429.6 from your calculators? The number you will have will be 929. We are asked to correct one decimal place. Therefore, y will be equals to 40 kilometers. Correct to one decimal place. Answer 1. Finally, our last question is Roman 2. Before I will leave, let's solve this together quickly. And that is the bearing of z from x, which means go to x and locate z. For the viewers, you can check on the green color. It's going to be this movement. That is the part that they want us to calculate. So to calculate this, it's not magic. We are doing in the previous slides. Here we are going to find the bearing of z from x. What are you going to do to find the bearing of z? You use the sine rule. This side is known as 49.3. I'm going to use and its angle, and since I'm calculating the angle at x, use the angle at x and its side. So that will give us x over sine x equals to y over sine y. So these are the two relations I'm going to use. We substitute, our x value is 50 all over. The angle at x is not known. equals to, y is already calculated, we did it together, and we got 49.3 all over the angle at y is 70. What we could do here is to cross multiply. If you cross 0.3 times x will give us 49.3 x equals to 50 sine 70. Now when you look at this relation here, our target is we want to know the value of x. We must divide both sides by 49.3. So in doing so, we can cancel these two. 49.3 will cancel 49.3. Then we have sine x equals to. Now I want to challenge you again. You are going to press from your calculators 50 sine 70, which means 50 times sine 70. The answer you divided by 49.3. That's going to give us 0.93. If you press 50 times sine 70, the answer you get by 49.3 will give you 0.953. So we find the angle at x by taking sine inverse of 0.953. So x will be equals to sine inverse of 0.953. Can you press from your calculator sine inverse of 0.953? If you do that, x will be equals to 72.364. Now you are asked to give your answer correct to one decimal place. X equals to 72.4 degrees. So that's going to be this angle here. But we can still make some adjustments that will help us to get the final answer. If this angle is 48, what will be this angle here? You are going to subtract 90 minus 48. Remember I told you in every quadrant the angle there is a right angle. So what is 90 minus 48? You just subtract that right away. 94.8. That's going to give you 2, and we are 4. That's 42 right away. So we put 42. So if this angle is 42, this other angle here also must be 42. Target is at the angle here, this small angle. So to do so, we subtract 72.4 minus 42. 72.4 minus 42. That will give you 4. 0, subtracting 4. So it means this small angle here will be equals to 30.4. So if that angle is 30.4, therefore we can see the bearing of z from x will be equals to, remember in the previous lesson I told you, from the north we measure 0 degrees, to the east is 90 degrees, to the south is 90, and to the west is 270. So if I want to know the bearing of z from x, I'll subtract 2 minus 30. 270 minus 30.4. What is 270 minus 34? Can you take your calculators and do that subtraction? 270 minus 30.4. That will give us 239.6. You are asked to give your answer correct. One decimal place. Do not round up. You can stop here as your answer. So that is going to be the bearing of z from x. Now this brings us to the end of the lesson. And before I will step out, I hope students have definitely enjoyed the lesson. And I believe a lot is learned from the lesson bearing, since we are able to do as much as we can. So I have the hope and believe that students will not develop the fear of handling problems under bearing anytime they come their way. On that note, this message, remember we are in an era of this pandemic. Always remember to stay safe, avoid overcrowded places, and then I will leave you for now until I come your way in our next lesson. I thank you all.